Nkechi,
Hey,
welcome.
you go, girl.
Woo woo for me. It only took me an hour and 45 minutes to figure out how to properly pronounce the name. And she's like, just call me Keiichi. I'm like, no, Nkechi.
Yes,
I'm gonna,
yes. Now you're just showing off.
yeah, now it's just gonna roll off my tongue. There you go. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm actually really awesome. I have to tell you the truth, though. I don't ever feel bad because my husband, for the first couple of weeks that we met, so like when we were dating, he never said my name. And it just so happened, I mean, he would call my phone, so I would always pick up. He'd be like, hey, babe this, babe that, honey, this, gorgeous that." After a while, I was like, this guy doesn't say my name. And I was like, no, dude, what's my name? He's like,
He's like, baby.
he's like, okay, how do you say it again? I'm like, oh my God, you know how to say
I
my
know.
name.
Okay, so let's just call a spade a spade. It didn't take me that long, and I would
No.
have. What am I going to call you as a nickname? Hey, babe. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, not happening.
Those who
I
know me
love
really well call me Ink.
really,
Yeah, yeah, they
really.
call me Ink. Yeah. But
Why?
you have to learn Nkechi first, so then you can call
Okay.
me.
Oh
Yeah,
yes. No, I'm going to
yeah.
stick to that because now I got it down
You
packed.
got it,
And
girl.
why do they call you that? Can I ask? Is there
I
a
think it's
story?
just I mean, I played soccer. Imagine trying to like kick a soccer ball and say my name at the same time. It's not,
No,
no.
not
So I'd be like,
happening.
hey, Ink, yeah, pass the ball, Ink, pass the ball. Yeah, so that was much easier.
Okay, I just thought
Yeah.
like ink meant something like, ink,
No, Ink, I
right?
do have tats, not like you, but I have, yeah, no.
What do you have tattoo wise? I'm
I
always so
have,
interested.
yeah, I have my coat of arms for Nigeria on my back. I
Oh
just
no.
learned that that was called the, what's that, like, when it's on top of your bum? The people call it the
Oh, a tramp stamp.
Ram stamp. I was like, at first, I'm 50 something. I'm like, that's what they call that stuff. I was like, that is
I
not why
know.
I got it. But
I
anyway, and
know.
then I have a lotus. I was in India, so I got these amazing tattoo artists. They were actually
Oh,
competing
they're
around the world. I have a lotus flower with the Om symbol on my back of my neck.
oh,
I just got one on my. I don't know if you can. I just got a little those little ones that they put now, just
oh,
hearts.
that's so nice.
I
Yes.
have fertility fish because I tried to get pregnant for the longest time. And I was like, oh my God, it's thin days now. So I tried everything. I was like, how about if I get a tattoo of fish just kind of swimming down?
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
Maybe they need to swim up. I think I
yeah,
had the wrong
they need
direction. I had the wrong.
they need the directional arrow, right?
I'm
This
like,
way.
that's the
Go,
wrong one.
guys.
The fish are swimming down. They're supposed to be swimming. And then I have, and then I have a lotus flower on the other side. Yeah.
I love it. See? And the thing is you've got always got a story behind
Yeah.
every tattoo, right?
Right. That's what they
There's
say.
there's always a story. I'm going to go back to the tramp stamp though because I love the fact that you had no clue that that's what it was. I have one too, and it was actually my first tattoo. I won't tell well actually I the as soon as I realized I was going to be separated, that was my choice and I just decided, okay, I'm going to do this. And then after I got it, same. I realized that it was called a tramp stamp. I'm like, what? Who? Obviously, a guy made that up, but
Yeah.
whatever, right? To me, I think it's a nice, it's pretty,
Right,
right?
it
No,
has nothing to do.
no.
And I don't
And
know that
then
I get the coat of arms of my country if
I
I
know
actually
tattooed on your butt.
if
But
I
the
knew the
funny
kid.
thing is, I was doing a little readers program at grade one, and I guess I bent over, and one of the little girls, oh my God, Mrs. F, you have a beautiful tattoo on your butt. I'm like, oh my God. My poor kid was like, okay, I'm never gonna live this down. So tramp stamps live on. I'm just
Yes, they do. They do. I do. Yeah.
Oh boy. So I have been so super excited to chat with you. I cannot tell you how much I adore your energy, what you do. You didn't even know that I was at the WXN
No,
event
I
and
can't believe that
you
you
could,
didn't say something.
I know, well, you were so busy. You had all your fans around.
Busy is
And
not a scheduling problem.
so, but my point to my story is the second you came out, and I know you're very humble, but you lit up the room with your energy, with what you say, the way you say it. I was in awe of everything you did. I'm just going to say,
Thank you.
love, love,
Thank you.
loved
Thank you.
everything. Look,
Thank
she's so
you.
humble. I love that.
Thank you.
And I don't know how you do it when you, so I've seen a few things that you've done, which we're going to talk about the I am in a moment, but you're naturally, the little bit that you and I have spoken, you naturally exude that energy to everybody. And now you and I had a chat before the podcast. Explain what that means to you with every life you touch.
Well, so first of all, I'll use the WXM as a perfect example. Okay. So that was, I don't know why. I don't know why I was chosen for that experience. Outside of Sherry and the team saying, oh my God, we've seen you, you're amazing, you're this and that. I truly believe there's a bigger purpose for that. Okay. So what I do know that typically holds true is that there's going to be hundreds of people in the room.
Mm.
And for whatever reason, on that particular day, I have been asked to take care of the room in a very special and unique way, which is hosting it. And I do believe that every experience, every conversation, every situation, every time I'm in the presence of another human being, and I laugh because we
We had an inside joke story about humans.
every
Another
human
podcast
being.
for that.
I truly believe that I'm there to help them be more empowered in the skin that they're in, right? And I believe that the number that's been described in my life is 1 billion. I do believe that I'm in this world to help empower 1 billion people think in ways that are empowering. And a lot of times when I walk into these rooms, yes, there were like whatever 500 people in there, but it's never about them. It's always about the people that they get to empower, right? And so if I leave them in an empowered state, then
Mm,
the next experience that they have is what actually feeds the billion. You get what I'm
I
saying?
love
Because
that.
empowered
Oh.
people empower people. So it's creating that domino effect. And interestingly enough, that day, so I thank you for the feedback that you shared in terms of how you experienced me,
Mhm.
because I was actually really scared. I do recognize that at some point or other, and that's why that quote came to me after Princess Sarah spoke, is that I hadn't fully stepped into the power of me.
Wow.
I was oftentimes, especially as a Black woman, and you walk into these spaces and they're white. It's a white space. Let's just be real. There is diversity in the room. It's a white space. Like it's typically we've made those spaces more diverse, but they were established. If you go back in the years, like Sherry talks about how they're now driving more diversity even through WXN, right? Like they talked about even this year was probably the highest percentage they've had in terms of the diversity across the winning circle, which means that at some point or time it wasn't diverse, and so
Fair enough. I guess, see, I don't, you and I
you
talked a
don't
little
see
bit
it.
about
Yeah.
this. You want to call it ignorance, you want to call it rose-colored glasses, or just me accepting. I don't look at the way people look. I don't look at although your hair does look fab, as I said to you before. I don't really look at like that doesn't, but I understand where you're coming from. But to me, it's just was a bunch of humans,
Yes,
right?
exactly. And so
But the fact that you felt like that and you're so authentic talking about it is so powerful. So thank you so continue
yeah,
sharing.
and what you just said is actually the truth, because what you said is actually really real. It was a room of human beings. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter the background, where they started from, where they came from, their thoughts or their mindsets. I was literally in a room with other human beings, and it was my responsibility to have stepped into my fullest truth of a human being. That's all of our own personal responsibilities. And so
Mhm.
all of those other things that made me hold back are just the trauma, like like the trauma spaces in my life, right? Like the things that I have thought or that continue to
Or
feed
the
or
experiences
the
you've had.
experiences, right? And so after Princess Sarah spoke, it was her being so authentically and unapologetically awesome that said to me, why am I holding back? And so you may not have experienced this, but I know that I experienced that transformation. Because when I went back on stage, and the main fact that I screwed the cue cards and I said the quote by Marianne Williamson, that was really truly when I stepped into my own personal power on that day.
Gonna make me cry. I love that. That is, and like you said, there's always a higher purpose. There's always a reason that we do certain things. Like you say, you don't know why you were chosen. So people from the outside looking in were like, because you're a freaking rock star, that's why you got chosen. You were great. But I love the fact that you've got that authenticity to be able to say, I was terrified. And you know what? I talked to you a little bit about who I've worked with in the past. Even Mick Jagger, even Bono, they're still nervous getting on stage, but a little bit of nerves, I
Yeah.
feel they need that. And you know,
Yeah.
you're an elite athlete. You need that for peak performance.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
the fact that there was that, but there was also the transformation is
Hmm.
profound.
Yeah.
I
And I
love
think
that.
that's the key is that all of us have that within ourselves. And it's really about just trusting ourselves enough to recognize that we're worthy to step into that, power, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. But you said something so interesting. And I think as we, my next tattoo, because there's many next, will be not on my lower back. Maybe it'll be up my spine or something crazy, but will be, and I know that Aerosmith says it way better, but life's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And I feel as we go through our journey, and this is maybe where you're at, and as you continue to grow, I think we never stop growing. We never, even when, you feel like you've had that transformation, I feel especially for you and for everybody, there's continual growth and transformations that happen. It's
Hmm.
not like, okay, I got here, done, right? You
Hmm.
continue. Like the fact that I asked you about, a TED or TEDx talk, and you went, let me look, I think that's on my vision board. And, you looked up, yep, that's on my I love that. Like, you're never stopping. You're always trying to continue to climb to the next best version of you.
Yeah.
But then you also said something about, well, that's my trauma. I love the fact that you own authentically whatever has happened to you, whatever you've experienced. You still hold space for that, but you get past it. How do people do that? You make it sound so easy.
It's not.
Uh-huh.
So
I
I will,
know.
okay, so this is
I'm
what I
just trying to get the little tidbits of what
so I
you
think
did
I
for
think it's
you.
not. I think it's not. It's not easy. It takes work.
Mm,
But you know how we spoke about, you kind of touched about in the B roll, we talked about affirmations.
yes.
So I think about when affirmations were introduced into my life, it was a time where I wanted to flip the script on how I was navigating this world. You understand?
Mm.
And I sort of wanted to take a little bit more
Like a
control.
decision you made, and
It was a
like you.
complete decision I made.
Mm.
And the book that I read was actually A Return to Love, which is where that quote came from.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
And so I've
Okay.
had that quote in my life since 2014. And Marianne Williamson in that book talks about babies being born into love and we learn hate. What
True.
baby do you know has come out
No.
hating the world?
Yeah.
I have not read that article. But no,
Never. No. And
there's
you're
no
right.
movie.
And
Yeah.
lots of science to back up the fact that, prior to 5, something happened in your life, something, whether it was a parent that worked a lot or, other traumas, that all started to, kind of skew your very pure and natural way that you look at things. So you decided, you started to, I think, investigate essentially. You find this book. Is that where the real transformation begins?
I say that that's where it started. Yeah. And you just made I think that that book for me, I just made a decision, right? We all have this opportunity in every experience that we're in to make a decision to say that this experience, I'm going to allow it to transform me. Every experience can transform you. every experience. I truly believe you can be in this
100%.
constant loop of elevation, right? Like every single day, if you use your experiences to help press you forward versus pull you back. And so, I just started to excavate. I started to really excavate and get back to that truth that you use the word natural, that natural state of being birthed into love, right? Or
Yes.
desiring love, wanting to give love and get and receive love. And I just said everything else is just trauma. Everything else, if it doesn't feel like love, it's a trauma space that I get to heal, right? It's a trauma space that I get to
Mhm.
use. And as much as possible, I mean, I will be honest with you, it's tough sometimes, but it's just
Sure.
that constant reminder. Even just the other day, I went out for lunch with a friend. It was after the conversation I realized, I've not been looking at the situation from the right space. I am supposed to use this situation to push me more into my purpose, right? Like I'm supposed to be able to teach from this experience that I'm having. And I just recognize that it is possible. Like if you actually start to say that everything I'm going through life, everything that I'm going through is transient, nothing is permanent.
Mhm.
And that means that therefore there's got to be something that I can use from this to fuel me to help somebody else, right? Like not even attaching yourself to your trauma, but recognizing that you went through it for a reason to potentially help some other human in this world, quickly advance through theirs as an example, right? So it's really just that constant having these things on constant reminders. It's not just you're not going to go through it. It's not that I don't have these moments where I'm like, oh my God, you know,
Yeah.
but it's just
Everybody.
a quick reset. Everybody has it. Yeah.
Everybody has it, but I love the fact that you say that even though that you're, let's just say, healed, and let's say you're in a good space, doesn't matter what it is, but I sort of always use the 80-20 rule. And hopefully it gets to like 90-10, but if
Mhm.
80-90% of the time you're good, things are going to come up, and two things I want to go back to what you said, which I loved and I find very interesting, is you kind of you're like, whatever didn't serve me is trauma to me. And I
Mhm.
love that. It's a lot of times it is, even for myself, it is about renaming. For example, rejection to me is redirection. I'm like, I got
Woo!
rejected. Woohoo! Door
Woo!
slammed in my face. Woohoo!
Mhm.
No, no doesn't mean no, not ever. No means not with you, not today, not now, right?
Next
So I
opportunity.
think, yeah, and I think it's the way that we sort of attach to certain things, like you
Mhm.
said, and the story we tell ourselves. Because,
Mhm.
I realize through, and I want to get into the whole bodybuilding with you in a moment, but, and body image and things like that. Having had four kids, there was lots of negative body image and whatever there, but, it is just about being comfortable in your
In
own
your
skin,
skin.
right?
Yeah.
And I think it takes time. It takes a lot of work. Some days are better than others, but you do have times where you take a step back, but you've got the knowledge, you've got the tools to know, listen, I'm not going to sit in my poopy pants for long, but I know I'm here, so let me sort of get out of it. What do you do to get out of it? Do you
What I have a
meditate?
question for you before you ask me that.
Yeah.
Yeah? Just because I think like humans, right? When things, so sorry, there's life. So lifing, we're constantly lifing. And so when those, I'm going to just call them unfortunate situations because you actually just correctly, in my opinion, I totally align with what you said. You get to give it the meaning that best, hopefully best serves you, right? So when
Yeah.
these unfortunate situations show up, do they still surprise you? Like, do you be like, I can't believe this is happening
Yes.
to me? Do they? Like,
Yes.
yeah?
Hell yes. Hell yes. And you know what one of my other businesses is private investigation, for example. I mean, 20 plus years. So I have seen stuff that you don't even read about or see in the movies. And I'm like, this for sure is like the worst thing. I just cannot believe da 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 da. And then the next second, something else turns around and does the exact same thing, but 10 times worse.
Hmm. So
Okay,
what if, can you imagine a world where
keep
the
going. I
average,
can I
the
can hear
average
you.
human, yeah, where the average human doesn't get surprised, right? Where we've recognized our power so much so that as things happen to us, we realize that that is because we're at a juncture in our life where this, whatever's shown up, is the vehicle to take me to the next level. Like, like meaning that I've outgrown the level I was at, and this thing that now has shown up to help advance me. Can you imagine a world where that's how the average person thinks?
Yes, and you know what? And I love that you brought that up, and that is deep and profound because I'll tell you something. I'm trying to get to that level. And, I have many things in place when I'm lifing and, you're a deer caught in headlights going, okay, did not expect this Mack truck to, come driving on in at this exact moment. And, you can breathe through it, you can whatever. So I try, so yes, I can. And I hope people like you and these kinds of open conversations will foster that. I
Hmm.
don't know that we're there yet. I don't know
No,
that every
no,
human is
no.
there yet, but I know I'm trying to be there. Are
But you know
you?
why I believe that we could be there?
Because you are?
No, 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 no. I'm gonna
Trying
go
to
with my,
figure
I'm
out
gonna go with
billion
my,
dollar girl.
no, I'm just gonna go with my whole technology self because by this juncture, and I'm 51 years old, okay? There is no problem in my, like, I believe that can come my way that by now some human in this world has not experienced. Maybe they got to it a little bit differently, or and so now we have generative AI. Like you don't even need to like sit in
I
the
know.
corner by yourself and think you're the only person that's had this problem. You just pick up the phone that everybody seems to have. Like there's 6 point
Yeah.
something billion phones in this world, which means the majority of humans have a phone. And all you do is just go to ChatGPT and say, this problem just showed up in my life. How have people typically handled this and risen
Yes.
from it? Like,
Yes.
like it's actually so possible, but
I
we
know.
still feel this entitlement. And I'm not trying to just downplay anyone that's
No,
listening to
I
this. I'm
know. And I
actually
have
trying
something
to
to
put my
add.
cap right. We feel this entitlement that these things that come our way are ours to own.
Mm.
And then we feel like we're the we're the human that's having to bear this. And I'm
Yeah,
just like I'm trying
exactly.
to get to myself where I recognize I'm just not that special.
I'm not- It's just not all about me,
It's just
right?
not about me.
Right? No, yes, but but I go back and sort of challenge that in the essence. Maybe you've never felt that before. So when people come to me, even as an investigator and they're on the floor and having a panic attack and their lives are falling apart, I understand. Like for me, I've seen it, thousands of times a month, but they've only experienced it once. So for me, what I do with my clients, whether it's on a coaching level or whether it's as an investigator or as a friend, is you give that person that what I like to call a space for a pity party. But then, you dust your knees off, stand up, shoulders back, chin up, and away you go. I think you need to feel the emotion. I know that's not what you're
Yeah,
saying, where it's
right.
like you don't get to feel anything, just, AI yourself back to health, right? I know you're not saying that, but you're right in saying that so many people go through it.
But
That,
even what you're saying is kind of part and parcel. It's about that. It's about the space between where whatever transpired
mm,
to where they've made a decision to go recognize that that somewhere someone has the solution.
yes,
That
yes.
that space there is just trying to shorten the space of suffering.
Yes. And I think for that purpose and for the purpose of support, it's so I mean technology is going to advance us in leaps and bounds, and whether you want it or not, it's here, it's coming, it's arrived. You either get on the boat or you get left behind essentially, right?
But
So
it's
I
just a
agree.
vehicle. It's a vehicle to connect people to you,
Mm,
right? Like if people are in that kind of state and they go to Google as an example, and your name comes up, you are going to help them. You become the solution to their to whatever challenge it is. So I think I'm speaking like more metaphorically. Is just we have everything within our means to shorten our space
Yes.
of suffering.
Yes. Yes, and I'm agreeing with you. We're debating. I don't think we're even debating it. I think
No,
we're
no,
both saying the same thing, but we're debating also like where that person goes because sometimes when you get hit by life, sometimes they don't know where to go.
yeah,
Maybe a private investigator, you wouldn't think you'd go to maybe a therapist because you
yeah.
would think, well, they know all about infidelity.
Mhm.
And then they put you in this box. And then, anyways, that's a whole nother, that is a whole nother podcast for another time. But I think that what you're saying is that you can think outside of the box. And
Yeah,
I'm so an outside of the box thinker. You're lucky if you even get me on the perimeter. But
yeah,
to me, it's like you have to be able to know that there's solutions and there's
yeah.
answers. But the big thing, what I always tell people is to be curious. And I think
Yes.
that's what you're saying
Yes,
too,
yes,
right?
yes. You said
Be
it way
curious.
better than I said it.
No.
Is your problems are not yours to own. They're yours to get curious about. And the quicker you can get into curiosity, the faster the shorter I think your space of suffering is.
I agree 100%. Talking about suffering, okay, how you do the bodybuilding, we need to chat about that because I have friends that have done it. I have lovely people that I've known, and now you, and there is such discipline and and then on top of it, let alone how great that I feel that you and other people that work that hard to do that transformation work, okay? But now I love the story of there's a whole other side to that that the general public does not know.
Yeah.
And so prior to the podcast starting, you and I chatted a little bit about it. Do you mind to chat about
No,
it
yeah,
with
no.
us?
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
So do tell. When did you
Yes.
start? When did you start your journey into the fitness world?
So if I'm really honest, which I am gonna be, I stepped into a gym at the age of 18. So I'm 51. So that's how long ago. And I was very fortunate. I working at the gym in Montreal. It was actually John Abbott College. Was Andre Beijing, and he was Mr. Canada. He's been Mr. Canada, and so right out of the get, I was introduced into the world of like weight training and lifting from a bodybuilder, right? Someone who really got it. And I think he always one of the things he told me back then was that I had the structure and the physique for it, right? And certainly genetics and stuff like that. But my sport was soccer, football, whatever, and I played that competitively till the age of 25. So my dad was a soccer player, and and it just kind of was in our blood in the home,
I love it.
and then I had an injury at the age of 25. I mean, I had still continued to weight train, and so 7 years in, and I decided that I was going to hang up my cleats. Because it was also really hard to be in a team sport as my career was advancing, and so I had a friend who was a bodybuilder at the time. She, took me to a competition. Well, for one, I would say aesthetically, I love the way the women looked, like, and because they had some new categories at the time. It wasn't just female bodybuilding, because I think I always had like sort of that real masculine thought in my mind, and they had introduced what was called figure. So there are these women who were aesthetically pleasing. Their bodies were all very symmetrical. So the wide shoulders, the tiny waist, the quad sweeps, and then they were in heels and beautiful sequined
I
bikinis.
love the outfits and the heels. I know.
And I was
Love
like, I
it.
want to do that. And so I entered my first bodybuilding show and trained for 25 weeks
Wow.
and knew nothing about the sport, which is in large part what then challenged me for the next 10 years after that. So it started in
Mm.
2005 and competed straight for probably 10 years. And in those 10 years, I think that the biggest part of the sport that's not spoken about a lot was something that I experienced. It became really unhealthy. I was trying to look so my after my first competition, when I stepped off stage, I had dehydrated for 36 hours, which I would never do again, but that's what I did at the time. And
Well, I always wondered, let's stop there for a second, because I always wondered, I'm like, you see like every ripple in there, and I'm like, how do you do that? And how
Well,
do you do that?
yeah, nutrition. I mean, it's a whole
It is,
science
but
to it,
it's
but it's
also that
dehydration towards
48
the end.
hours
Yes.
prior,
Yeah.
right?
But now it's not. Like now, I think, especially now with science being so advanced and people knowing better about the sport, I have not ever dehydrated like that again in all
Good.
of my competitions. And you train with people that are more knowledgeable and more experienced, and so I'm constantly sipping water all the way through until the hours I step on stage, right? And so
Mm.
anyway, I digress. So what happened was, I came off stage. I remember it was October 25th in Toronto, and that was a Saturday. And on the 26th, I weighed 128 pounds, like 2% body fat. I went and ate Chinese food on the Sunday, and I gained 30 pounds by Monday.
What? 30 How much Chinese food did you eat, girl?
The sodium killed me,
What?
landed me in the hospital. I had to get a pharmaceutical diuretic, so to drain the water. And that first night, I remember I lost 11 pounds,
Oh, it
and
was
then after that,
water.
yeah,
It was all water with,
it was
oh,
water retention. Yeah, my knees, I couldn't even, I remember I was at work and my legs had to be elevated, right? And it was really bad. Like I had edema and had edema really badly. Anyway, so the cycles for me, the negative cycle for me started that day, because I won my first show. I looked this amazing, I had this amazing physique on stage. By Monday, I couldn't find that physique to save my life.
wow.
And there was no real, like, it took me 25 weeks to get there. Imagine that. 2 days to lose it. And then it was just to get back to that physique. It's the whole mindset of you got to train twice a day. You have to eat your chicken breast. Like it was just, and I entered into the cycle of, it was so unhealthy. Like
Do
body
you like
dysmorphia.
obsess about it? I guess it's,
Became
you have to
completely
obsess
obsessed.
about it. Anything that you do at a pro level, in my humble opinion, or anything you do, you have to kind of be neurotic about it, right?
Hmm.
And you have to be very disciplined, very diligent, right? That's what I would think, anyways.
Yeah, so I became really obsessed. And for 10 years, it was almost like I was on this quest to always look like I did on stage. And it wasn't
Wow.
until I met somebody really smarter than me in the sport that said, "You know what? I just want to be really honest with you. Let's just cut to the chase. You're looking at all these magazines, and those women that are on the front page of those magazines, they look like that for one day. One
Mhm.
day. So they get ready for that one day. They take all of these different photo shoots and different outfits, and they use those same photos for the entire
Yeah.
year
Okay.
until they
Yeah.
look like that again, right? And so it was just this big aha. And then I think for me, I recognized I had to get out of that cycle, because it was affecting my
Mhm.
relationships and marriage. It was really extremely unhealthy. And if you actually follow a lot of competitors, you'll actually see, like, there's this, it's still to this day, right? Like, there's a lot of people are like, I'm getting ready for a competition, and then the day of the show, everything is about the food porn. I can't wait to look what I'm gonna
Yeah.
eat after the show, right? And they're showing all
Yeah.
these chocolates and all. And I'm like, that's such not the right part of the sport.
Yeah.
And really and truly, I had to get out of it, and it took me 10 years. And then I started to say, okay, I think I haven't attached a why to why I do this. Everything needs a why. And
Mm.
and that's when I just started to change it. Like, is how am I using this very individual sport to help and influence the lives of others, right? And so just attaching a different why to it and trying to
And
figure
what
out.
was your why? Can you share what your why was?
Yeah, that's where I came through empowered in my skin, right? And so as I started on this journey of self-discovery, self-realization, and self-awareness, I just became a little bit more empowered in the skin that I was in, and then everything I did had to be attached to that, like, is the way that I'm empowering myself, empowering others, right? And so,
But
um,
why were you like, was it because you were so competitive sort of growing up that as you grew up, then you attached yourself to that competitiveness with the bodybuilding? I guess that's sort of the why,
yeah,
like, why
I,
did you do, like, I'm trying to
um,
figure out your why to why you did. I mean,
You
I
mean
could see you doing
bodybuilding and
one
stuff?
or two shows, but you did 10 years. That's discipline and commitment on a whole nother level, right?
Yeah, so I think discipline runs in my family, right? So my mom is very disciplined, my dad, and so very like I'm Nigerian background, right? And so it's always about excellence. It's always about pushing yourself, striving to do the best that you can. And I think in that type of sport, it is. It's all transformation, right? There's something pretty awesome about being able to take your body from one state to the next, and then routines. I'm a creature of habit. I love the routine nature of the sport, and I am very competitive, right? Like I'm always about wanting to push and do better, and even now as I think about wanting to compete again, it's on my vision board to, I have, you want to get to the Olympia, you want to get to the highest
Oh.
stage in the sport. And so, yeah,
You think
I
you
love.
will compete again?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This year, I'm working towards it, and so my mind is I'm a champion, and I'm going to compete again. It's not easy because life is very different right now, and so it's making it work in the lifestyle that I have now. But what I recognize that it influences who I hang out with, the things that I do, how I use my time, and everything that. And as I start to really build the structure that's needed in order to be able to succeed, I find that I'm actually way more productive.
That's
And
awesome.
so, I know it sounds, but my why is all tied around how can I be the most excellent at everything I do and waste as little amount of time as possible in this world.
There you go, right? And how can I get in and out of the gym really fast? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, I noticed when you were showing me your tattoo, I'm like, oh my goodness, look at the muscles. So it's no shocker that you are getting ready to compete. And you and I have talked that we're going to be doing lots of fun things together. I have so many other questions. I know we have to end it in a few minutes, but I have two other really important questions if you don't mind for you.
Let's go.
So our name, I am unbreakable. We're going to
Yes.
go to your I am in a moment. What does it mean to you to be unbreakable?
So it's interesting because what comes to mind is something that very a friend of mine that was actually really close once said to me that bent but not broken,
Mm,
you know, and I think that there's a lot of things in our lives that can bend us, but I think that when you know that your life is intended to do something in this world, nothing will break you. Absolutely nothing.
that's
Because
why
like you
you
said,
are
whatever comes your
unbreakable.
way, you're bigger than whatever has come your way. And it's really there to just kind of bend you and shape you and reinforce you and redirect you. I love what you said earlier, but not break you. I don't think there's anything here in this world that's intended to break you.
I love that. You said it so perfectly. And also, being unbreakable, just having, I am unbreakable, having that affirmation is what you just said. I'm resilient, I'm fearless,
Hmm.
whatever's going to come my way, it could bend me. It could,
Yeah,
take me off course a little bit, but nothing is going to
there's
break
none to
me.
break
And,
me.
and that's when I see and when I envision a woman that is unbreakable, I envision somebody like yourself. You
Oh,
are a
thank
rock star through
you.
and
Thank
through. Let me
you.
tell you, definite
Thank
love.
you.
So, going back to the positive affirmations. So, do you use mindfulness and meditation, or what do you use? Like when I to sort of get you, because you have to be in a state to be able to be as disciplined as you are, right? And all the amazing things that you do. So when I saw your talk on the I am, you believe it and you become. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I love it.
Yeah. For anyone that's listening to this, I think the most powerful thing that you can probably do in your life is become the first person you speak to every single day. Because if you can actually start to do that, you will create your environment. You'll create the environment that you want to have, right? And when I say speak to yourself, I mean speak to yourself in the most powerful, use words that will not break you, but use words that will actually shape you and evolve you and elevate you. And so every single day, it's my non negotiable. I actually talk to myself first. My husband and I get up at 4:10 every single morning, and we just know, like we're polite, so we'll say great morning. I say great morning. He says good morning. He goes down to the basement. He does his meditation. Get on I start to pray, and then when I walk to the mirror, I speak to myself, and I speak to myself with affirmations, and I tell myself what kind of a day I'm going to have. It doesn't matter what shows up. I've already told myself how we're going to show up for the day, right? And it's really powerful. And I believe that I believe that I could do it, and it just over time, doing it every day, letting it become my non-negotiable. I'm actually doing it.
That is so powerful. And so, wow, I am going to take some of that and start doing it myself. And I do certain affirmations like that as well. I'm a 5 a.m. girl. I'm thinking, and when I wake up at like, if I hit snooze, I know I'm not supposed to. Good leaders never hit snooze. But if I get up at like 5:30, even on vacay, people are like, it is vacation. I'm like, I don't care. I feel like I'm late. It's my time where it's nice and whatever, right? But now you're saying 4:10. I'm like, damn. I think I'm late for the party again, right? But I love that because it gives you that space and that time for yourself. And
Yes.
in a world that we're so busy, you
Yeah.
actually because we are all busy. I can tell you I
Yeah.
work 18, 19-hour days and I know you'll believe me. So I'm like, so where do I fit in the gym? Who cares? You fit in nail appointments, hair appointments, lunches with your friends. You can
Yeah.
fit in
Put it in. Yeah.
5 minutes or 45 minutes for you. And
Hmm.
that's what that's the message I'm hearing from you.
Yeah.
Put you first because then you can be the best version of you for everybody else, right?
I love it. And I think for anyone that's listening, like if you truly want to embrace being I am unbreakable, then if it's something that we do what we want to do, then what are all those things that you need to do in order to be able to be unbreakable, right? Like if that's what you truly desire, and I truly desire it. Like when you reached out to me, like you were very complimentary when you started, but I just want to also let you know that when you reached out to me, I was really flattered. I was like, oh, let me look up this human a little bit, and I was like, oh,
Aw.
wow, she reached out to me.
Well,
That's pretty
thank
awesome.
you.
And I
Well,
love,
thank you.
yeah, I
But
love the
it
message you put out to the world.
Thank you. And same. And, that's where, when you talk about being vulnerable, you talked about being vulnerable when you were on stage and, being nervous and stuff. It's so funny that we think, oh, I'm too scared to do this or I'm too nervous, but you're sharing with the world essentially that, hey, I was that too. Even though I showed up like a rock star and there were sparks and fire going on behind me, I still showed up and gave you my best version, but I was scared too, but it's okay. You still did it. You still went through and did it, right?
Because it won't break you.
Yeah. There is no breaking you,
There's no
girl.
breaking.
So, oh, no way. And you know what? I think this is, the start of many things we're going to do together. So I'm going to sadly have to end our conversation for today. But I want to ask you, what is next for you? What I'm dying
Oh
to,
yeah.
I'm like, can you put your thing here on the vision board, which I would never impose that on you. But what is next for all the amazing things you're doing?
Well, I say if I look at my vision board, it says the best way to become a billionaire is to help a billion people. So I'm, going to continue this quest.
I'm going to
We
help you with that.
Thank you. So we wrapped up season 5 of the Empowered of My Skin podcast. We kick off
Yes.
season 6 in March of 2024. So really, really excited about another 52 episodes. I mentioned that I'm going to compete, so that's my personal mission to achieve in 2024. But I will be honest with you, like I truly believe that my biggest thing is I want to feel that I'm living at the highest expression of myself in 2024, and whatever that means, right? And then just allowing
Mm.
myself to be fully aligned to great experiences. And so this might be one that kicks it off. But I want to travel more in 2024. But I'm actually just opening up my.
Maybe the DR. Just saying, we are talking, just saying. There could be a DR trip in your very immediate future. And I love the fact, so I don't know how you are when it comes to sort of vision boards and I never make New Year's resolutions. I'm sorry, I
No,
don't.
I don't
For
either.
me, I'm all about, I'll never forget when I dropped 40 pounds. I did whatever, I don't know, like several years ago. I started December 11th. The flack that I got from people? Why would you do it before Christmas? And I looked at them and I said, why not? Well, why don't you just do it as a New Year's resolution? You're not going to be able to eat and you're not going to. And I said, exactly. So I'll have 5 pounds less to lose by the time you've gained, and everybody's got their opinion and
Yeah,
whatnot. So I don't do New Year's resolutions or and I think you're the same. You have your vision board,
do it.
new stuff appears, you peel stuff off you've done and you've accomplished, which is lots. And so I like the fact that you organically say, I am open to almost everything that serves me and that serves my purpose.
Hmm.
So there are things that you're still open to that maybe aren't on your vision board, right? And can you share? I don't know if we shared it just to sort of in closing, because you said when you were asked to do WXN, right? You were sort of questioning, okay, well, why me and whatever, but then you realized your higher purpose.
Hmm.
So is it sort of being open to opportunity and not knowing what is going to be behind door number one or two?
Yeah, I think for me, it's my North Star is to help 1 billion people, and a lot of people ask me, what does that look like or feel like? It feels to me like it feels extremely massive. Like it actually, I don't know how. I've been to India. Outside of being in India, I don't know what 1 billion people in a room look like. But I truly do believe that it does mean
Squish.
that I squished, but it does mean that I have to allow myself to receive bigger and bigger platforms. And so I don't know what those platforms are going to be, but I do know that if I don't sort of allow myself to be open to receive them and feel scared even when they show up,
Mhm.
then I'm actually not going to achieve that higher purpose that I've kind of set that I've set for myself. So I don't. I'm always curious. I'm going to use your word. I'm
Mm.
actually curious into my day. And I keep my eyes open and I ask a lot of questions and I'm open to meet people. So your network is your net worth, and there's a reason that you and I have been connected. And
Oh,
who
there
knows?
sure is. Because my wheels, as you're talking, are turning like crazy. And I am so honored and blessed. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to do great things together.
Thank
And you and
you.
I are going to have lots to talk about. Obviously, we're going to feature you through the next publication, as well as some of the events that we're going to do together. So we'll be seeing lots more of each other. Thank you
I
so
love
much.
it. I love it.
Have,
Thank you, Adrian.
have an awesome day. Big love.
Big love.